In this lesson, we're going to just go through the written notes together, and we'll identify important things that we need to make a note of, and you can just add to your notes as we go. But the first thing is to have a look and see what statistics is all about, and notice it refers to the collection of facts and the gathering of information. Now, the important thing to remember about this is that data that is collected, we'll see this down here, only becomes information once it has been organised. So information is organised data, if you like. If you just have lots of numbers, it doesn't mean a lot. But as soon as you organise it in some way, it becomes information. So information is organised into a form which can easily be analysed, and then conclusions can be drawn, predictions can be made, and it becomes very, very helpful. So collecting data, creating information helps us to make predictions and to use the information in an important way. So the facts of information, the pieces of information are called data. We can collect them by counting things, by measuring, and by asking questions, which is one of the areas we're going to look at in this particular area today, this topic. Who uses statistics? Well, it's used everywhere. Governments, businesses, they use it to make decisions, and particularly in the area of providing services for people, health and transport. People who are into manufacturing, statistics are used by them for things like quality control. So you test at particular points samples to see if the quality is what you want. Testing new drugs before they're put into usage by general population. That's a very important part of medical research. Market research, finding out what people want in the way of goods and services. All of this is vital for the survival of things. And they've even used the example of weather forecasts, which are really based on past statistics that have been collected. And those statistics lead to important decisions about the weather in the next few days, weeks and months. So here are the main steps that we follow. First of all, posing questions in order to collect data. The data is organised, it's summarised and displayed, and from there it can be analysed. Conclusions can be drawn, and then we write our results out. But in this particular topic, as I said down here, in this unit, and I noticed that we've spelt that wrong, so let me just fix that, and if you could do the same in your notes. In this unit, we're going to have a look at just these first two steps altogether. Now, let's have a look at questioning. In the area of questioning, it's very important to get questioning right. We can do it by interview or by questionnaires. And it says the usefulness of the responses to the questions depend on the type of questions, their relevance, how relevant they are, how clear they are, how well they're structured. So questions have to be fairly simple in order for people to understand them. They have to be unambiguous so that they know exactly what the question means, and they need to be free from bias so the questions are fair and can be answered and get correct results. There are a few types of questions that you need to be aware of, and here is a list of them here. First of all, these open-ended type questions or free response are things like, what do you like? What TV program do you like? And the person just fills in the answer. Then there are easier ones that are yes or no, just tick the box. True, false. There's no problem with these because they are one or the other, but certainly you don't necessarily collect a lot of good information from them. Tick the box is another good one. So if you ask which of the following do you like, and they can tick yes, news, drama, whatever it might be. So that's collecting information. Notice that these three here are not open-ended, whereas this one is. Then you can ask things like response scales. So do I strongly agree, disagree, don't know, agree? And a person is able to give a number to the way they feel. And then also here on the continuum scale, people sort of select where they would like to put an answer. So if you ask them how much do you agree with a particular position? They might say, look, I tend to agree. I'm up here somewhere, strongly agree, rather than down here where I disagree. So let's have a look at an example of how this works. The first thing I'd like you to do is, after I've read this question, I'd like you to stop and do this answer. So stop the video, just pause it and do the question, and then on the next page we're going to go through some of the possible things that you could write. So it says here, write a question using each of the types of things above. So all of those different types of questions. This is a very important thing to do, and it's investigating school uniform and talking about advantages and disadvantages of each. So go through and see if you can use these and just write one question for each of these main types, and then we'll have a look at some possibilities, and in class we'll discuss these together. So pause the video now, and I'm then started on. I'll move on to the next one, to the next section. Right, if you've done what I asked you to do, you would have a list of questions, and here's some samples. A free response question would say something like, what do you like or dislike about the school uniform? And you'll notice that you're going to get a lot of information, but it might be difficult to organise and interpret because there might be so many variations. A yes/no question, would you like to change the uniform? Quite clearly a yes or no. Problem with this one is that you don't collect a lot of information. It says it will indicate whether there is a desire to change, but it won't actually tell you what they want changed. Similarly to this one here, true or false, present school uniform is satisfactory, true or false. Once again, you know if people are happy or not, but not exactly what they don't like about it. This one, however, ticker box one, would give you a little idea of the things that want to be changed, so a bit more information. So you might find that a person might say shoes, and the girls might say, so that would be for the boys, and the girls might say the pullovers or whatever. Okay, so the response of this question gives information about which areas people want changed. Here is a scale that helps us to understand the strength of opinion. So it says, which one do you agree with? I strongly like, I like, and so on. Now, this response gives a good indication of the depth of feeling that people have got. So yes, I really like it, or I really dislike it. And that shows you how readily it ought to be changed because of the strength of feeling, or if it needs to be changed at all. There's a note here that's important. It says, when using response scales, some thought should be given to the number of choices. Now, a response scale here, there's an odd number. And what it says here, if it's an even number, then people have to make a choice one way or the other. I like it on this side, or I dislike it on this side. So if this one wasn't here in the middle, they wouldn't have a way of saying I have a neutral feeling about it. So it may be a good idea to have at least one neutral area so that people, if they don't really care either way, they don't have to make a decision that they wouldn't really want to make. So finally it says here, when writing questionnaires, the questions should be simple, straightforward, only one interpretation if possible. They should respect privacy of individuals. They should not involve any sort of bias. So things like, do you agree? In general, the simpler the questions, the more precise the response required, the more accurate the data will be. So keep it simple and you'll get accurate data. You can see how important it is to get good questions, and probably a really good strategy is try out a few of these questions before you actually go on and give the questions to a whole lot of different people.